Give me milk. F you. I'm not giving it. I'm dying.
Who doesn't love a beautiful piece of beef? Right here, we've got a glorious ribeye, and I'm gonna show you really quickly how you can roast this baby to perfection. When you have really good quality beef, you actually don't have to do much to it. Right now, I'm using a beautiful Bolzico beef, and I'm gonna put all the information in the description box below on where you can purchase it. We also opened our new butchery and deli called Cingolo, so you can buy it and actually see the product before you get it. So this is gonna be like that perfect ribeye roast that you wanna make for your family, for your loved ones, for Valentine's Day, for any big celebration. It's just so impressive to see a chunk of maybe 2 kilos piece of beef on the table, perfectly cooked. A lot of people will do it in a way where you cook it at a very high temperature first, then you drop down the temperature, and then eventually you would bring down the temperature and cook it for a long period of time. The problem you get there is that most of the time you'll have an outer layer inside the beef that's more brown than the inside that's nice and medium rare. What we're trying to do here today is to make sure that it's fully cooked at the same temperature all throughout. And to do that, we're gonna do this thing called the reverse sear. So all we wanna do is cook it low and slow in the beginning and then bring up the temperature right at the end after resting for about 10 to 15 minutes. The rub, very simple. This is great quality grass-fed beef. Grass-fed beef is probably one of the healthiest types of beef. It's better for the environment. The diet of the cows is much more natural. Therefore, you get a juicier, beefier piece of meat. So very simple. What we did last night is actually take out the beef from its packaging. We made sure to air dry it in the fridge, covered in salt. Like, be very generous with your salt. And we left it in the fridge overnight so that the skin is nice and dry. Now, we took it out from the fridge about 2 to 3 hours before we actually start cooking. This is really key. You need to bring it up to room temperature. For the aromatics, very simple. Garlic. Then to this, we're gonna add in some rosemary. Just remove the leaves, and then some fresh thyme. Chop all this up finely. Place all that back into your bowl. And then to this, we're gonna add some good quality mustard. Use some Dijon mustard or some whole grain mustard, about 1 tablespoon. Freshly cracked pepper. Remember, we already seasoned it with salt last night, so we don't have to add more salt, and then some olive oil. Why I like to salt the beef basically the night before, it's simple, because what you're trying to do is you want to make sure that the salt kind of permeates the skin of the beef so that you get a bit more saltiness inside the beef itself. And the second thing is that salt kind of wicks off moisture. So the more salt you have, the drier your skin's gonna be. And a dry skin is actually gonna give you, while cooking, a really nice crust. Once that's properly mixed, we then work on our baking tray, or roasting tray rather. We're gonna take a bunch of our thyme, a bunch of our rosemary. Let's try to break this, it's actually really hard to break. Put that all in the bottom. Add a couple of cloves of garlic in there. You can break them up and cut them up if you want to. Drizzle all that with some olive oil. And then the roasting tray goes right on top. So all that flavor, that olive oil is gonna help cook the herbs a little bit, so it'll release all that beautiful smell and aromas that's gonna be intoxicating. Then we rub basically the beef with all that beautiful mustard mixture. We then put it in the oven at 250 Fahrenheit. I think because we have 2 kilos, which is about 4 pounds, usually the rule of thumb that I have is about 15 minutes per pound of beef. So I think this one's gonna take about 45 to an hour in the oven, but really important, just use a meat thermometer and bring up that temperature inside the beef to about 118 Fahrenheit before we take it out. Gotta love technology. So our internal temp right now is at 117. It's telling us to take it out from the heat. So that's exactly what we are gonna do, since our target was 118. So we're just gonna take it out. It's not gonna be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life yet, because remember, we cooked it slow, which means it's a reverse sear, which means it's not gonna be perfectly seared on the outside, but that internal temp is exactly where we want it to be. Really important now, as you see, there's no browning, and I'm not freaking out about it because that browning we're gonna get now. So what I do is I put up the oven temperature to 500 Fahrenheit as basically as strong as your oven goes, because that's what's gonna give us that beautiful kind of like brown color. So while waiting for the oven to actually come up to the temperature that we want it to be, we rest this baby for about 30 to 45 minutes so all the juices go and then it just stays in there nicely. Remember, while you're resting it, the temperature inside will actually keep climbing. So that's why the resting is so important, or else you're gonna lose all that beautiful juice that's inside. After 30 minutes of resting, we are now at an internal temperature of 122 Fahrenheit. So this is about to go back into the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes until it goes all the way up. We want to bring it maybe, like when you look at beef in general, when you're looking at a medium rare, which is what we're trying to go for here. So I think maybe around 125 should be what we're trying to go for. After about 10 to 12 minutes, well, actually it was just about 12 minutes, our internal temp went up to 127 Fahrenheit, which is pretty still good for me. This has already been rested, so you actually don't need to rest it anymore. So, should we slice into it? Let's do it. What's super key is when you cut it, you can slice it into like 1-inch huge steaks, or you can go really thin and use this in sandwiches or different types of recipes and stuff. Honestly, when you have really good meat like we do today, I don't need anything else. I don't even need a steak knife because it'll cut so easily. Little piece here. Look at that. I haven't even added salt yet, but the salt that I put last night was so key. That flavor really came through. So I don't need sauces. You could have gravy, chimichurri, all those things, but just bare like this, it's absolutely beautiful. If you want to try Bolzico beef, again, Argentinian grass-fed beef that me and my brother-in-law Nico bring into the Philippines, it's absolutely delicious. It's actually great value for price in terms of, because it is a prime grade and it is grass-fed, and you can get it. I'm gonna put all the links below, so if you wanna shop it online, just go to rarefoodshop.com and you can find Bolzico beef there. They deliver absolutely all over the country. And then if you're in Manila, stop by our new deli. It's called Chingolo. We serve all our cuts there, and we have a little kitchen in the back so you can actually sit down and have a meal as well. Thanks guys, peace out. You wanna try the ribeye? So good. Try it, look at it, how beautiful it is.
No, the egg.
No, because I needed it for a shoot, man. What's wrong with you?
Every time I come here, you make me try something without me knowing what it is. I'm always afraid.
Try it first without ketchup. She said with ketchup. It was so good. You see how soft it is? This is a video I'm doing for Bolzico beef. Try it with ketchup.
With ketchup?
Yeah, it's really good.
Give me milk. F you. Give me milk. No, I'm not giving it. I'm dying. What the f is this? Oh, it's burning my lungs. My lungs. What the f is that?
It's a new hot sauce.
We went through the hot sauce. ¡Ay, la puta que me remil parió!
Oh, my cheeks hurt.
Oh. It's going insanity.
I've got a ton of gravel in my shoes, world on my shoulders.